Underway. Let's go to the picks and bans.
All right, so we'll see. Will Sky show up in this draft at any point? But right off the bat, it's going to be the Kroll ban from Equinox. Rising Lotus on the clock will take the Lyra off the table. So not either of those two going to be available. Kind of what we expect at this point now in the preseason. Expecting a Celeste pick here, maybe a Tony. And those are typically, these four are usually the first off the board.
Yeah, definitely at the point in this patch now where teams have a good understanding of what works, what doesn't. Some teams like to mix things up. Equinox, not one of those teams with the first pick, though, taking the Celeste. I mean, it's just such a strong pick right now.
Immediately answered by the Tony. So again,
Taka.
These four, those four tend to be in these first four selections in some order. You know, who gets banned and who gets picked is usually jumbled up, but it always seems to be these four kind of rounding things out. And then Taka and Alpha, we talked about how they both fill a very similar role. So I like the fact that Equinox, once Taka was picked, they decided to take the Alpha for themselves so that Rising Lotus can't ban it away from them.
Yeah, I really like that these European teams are not scared to take Alpha during this first pick phase. We saw it getting banned out in the second ban phase a lot yesterday. So teams are like, okay, if we're not able to get Alpha after that second ban phase, we need to take her during the first pick phase. Equinox taking advantage of that, making sure they get their hands on her. Fortress coming off the board as well. I think that's going to try and set them up for a Samuel play. They don't want to get body blocked. If Equinox, okay, they went and banned the Kestrel, I was going to say they could take Kestrel if Samuel got banned. I definitely expect Rising Lotus to take Samuel here.
Yeah, especially because you want to have that strong mid laner to answer against the Celeste, and that's exactly the role that Samuel fills. You have that AoE, so that it's also just, no matter what your opponents do, you have the range, you have the AoE, so it really doesn't matter what your opponent's team composition is. The Samuel will work well there. They're going to go for the Baptiste, kind of going back to week 1 with the Baptiste pick there. We'll see if it ends up being another weapon Baptiste. I don't think we've seen a Crystal Baptiste yet in VPL, so I'm kind of looking forward to when we do get that, but weapon definitely has been the way to go thus far.
Not taking the Samuel, though. Equinox could try and capitalize on that with the Churn Walker. That would have a lot of synergy if they try and go for it. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do, and then as long as they can get some sort of hardcore protector towards the end of the draft, that will help keep those backline mages alive so that those carries don't even have to worry about Ataka getting on top of them.
I was actually really hoping that they would grab the Samuel there, just because the thought of a Crystal Alpha potentially going for that triple Crystal composition with Heliogenesis and Empowered Malice and Verdicts, all with a Churn Walker, is a terrifying thought.
Absolutely. Rising Lotus tanking it up, though, picking the Grump shot. I think that's the first Grump shot we've seen thus far this weekend, for sure. So that's going to be some serious burst damage that Equinox is still going to have to watch out for. And right now, though, they're very much lacking in the range department. It's 4 melee bruisers for the most part. So they're definitely going to need to make sure they're getting something so that they're not just getting completely kited away from the back line.
And you got to look towards that mid lane, and really the only option left that a lot of teams have been running would be either the Scarf or the Adagio, and I don't know if Adagio would be the right pick in this composition, so very likely going to be the Scarf pick, but there's a potential for Equinox to take that away. It's highly unlikely, but if you know that that's really what your opponents are going to be looking for, you could try and take it just to deny it, but they are going to go ahead and grab the Catherine.
That is a seriously bruisey front line that Rising Lotus, despite there's a Samuel coming in last pick, so they are going to have those AoE Malice and Verdicts, able to put out a lot of AoE damage into those melees, but it's all going to come down to execution.
We've got our heroes. So who are the players that we're supposed to be watching this game? Flash.
For the side of Equinox, definitely going to have to keep our eyes on Alex SS. He definitely looked good throughout the first week. He definitely still has a lot of room for improvement. Here we see him trying to do his best running away on the Lorelei. He definitely has a lot of room for improvement. He can definitely position a little bit better, making sure he's not getting caught out in these team fights. He's doing his best trying to frontline for his team, but he has to understand that he needs to frontline in a way that still allows his teammates to deal the damage from their backline.
And very similarly across the Rise is going to be Solicitude for Rising Lotus. Again, you know, when teams have struggled, it's the players to watch need to step up. This is why we want to keep our eyes on them. We want to see them performing at a better clip than what they have been doing thus far. And Solicitude, being that mid lane carry, is one of the core components that needs to be performing well. If your mid lane carry is not playing to the best of their abilities, then you're not going to be getting many wins.
Yeah, he's got to be paying attention to his positioning today. Getting caught out a little bit too much against Queso. Anytime you play against a top-tier team, if you are out of position, you are going to get punished for it.
Right, so both Equinox and Rising Lotus are struggling so far this preseason. So on paper, between the two of them, who has an edge?
I think just on paper, you'd have to give the edge to Equinox because they're the team that has been able to pick up a victory. But from what we've seen in game, I actually feel like this one could go to Rising Lotus. They've had the much tougher matchups throughout the preseason, and they've been able to hold their own for at least a little bit against some of these top-tier teams. So I feel like the edge, just in terms of the way that teams have been playing, is on Rising Lotus' side.
Yeah, absolutely agree. They've had a very tough schedule. Definitely playing have they played both Clash and Queso this far?
I believe so.
So yeah, they definitely can step it up today.
Okay, the game is on. Stress, Cass, and Dowsy.
Thank you very much. Bit of a correction. Both these teams are 0-3. And one of them will come out of this with a win here today, Stress. So really important time to get that one up over each other.
Sorry to miscorrect to correct. Equinox do have one win to their name. They beat Wolves in the first week. It's Rising Lotus and Wolves are 0-3, but it's okay. It is a hotly contested fight at this point. And again, a little bit of a different start that we've seen. This is the five-man brush start right at the beginning. Very popular in a lot of games. Normally you're feeling someone face checking.
Oh dear, not good stuff for Rising Lotus. Nomad Vagabond taking a lot of damage, but he will escape there. Now we will see Equinox go on in. So, with Equinox with a victory over Wolves earlier on, now Rising Lotus looking to try and get their first here. I mean, Rising Lotus has had a tough start to the game. They've gone up against Salty Potatoes. They've gone up against Clash, I believe. Both these teams are sitting up at the top of the leaderboard. Clash clearly one of the strongest teams in the EU. It's really right now with so much experience on their table. You have the likes of Nomad Vagabond, down in the Koa, Cracks. All these guys have played at top level. They need to find their footing here really in the EU.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, on the other side, Equinox haven't had the easiest start for themselves. They had that game yesterday where they unfortunately had connection issues and ended up being a loss for them. But we did see one good performance out of Equinox. Against Wolves, they had the Celeste. It was looking pretty good for them. And they're in a similar situation here today now. I feel like this isn't going to be another quick game. I think we're going a little bit later on in this one. I think these two teams, it's probably going to resemble the Wolves Salty Potatoes game from yesterday, where it's very scrappy, very back and forth. And that's where all of this crowd control is going to need to stick. You know, heroes like this Churn Walker, if you can get those multi-chains off, if you can manage it in fights, that might be the difference maker.
Well, we'll have to find out if the Churn Walker can do that on 5v5. I think he's been fairly lackluster so far from what we've seen.
Yeah.
But, we're really going to have to see if Alex SS can do it. The issue is, like, Churn Walker on 3v3 was one of the strongest heroes and definitely was the hero that had so much influence at the Vainglory World Championships in December. But 3v3 is such a different game. Churn Walker has so much more to tank here, so many more chains to land, so much more to do, and it makes things so difficult. Bit of a fight breaking out in the mid lane, but it should be diverted. Alex SS, the one taking the brunt of the damage, will be able to escape just about. But, you know, we heard from the desk that he's good at tanking up damage and he's good at being that front line, but if there's no reason to do it, then don't do it.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough enough as it is to land without Tony running forward and landing in like a multi-person taunt, like with that cone out in front of you. Like, super difficult to make these team fights work. And Savantu now is going to be trying to take away some of the enemy jungle. Will run into Cracks and Vagabond at this point.
Yeah, seeing if he can't do some work here. I think he should be okay for now. Does manage to escape. Kieran was kind of just waiting, lurking, maybe setting up something, but he gets spotted by that scout cam in the bush. Oh dear, mid lane, it's a dive, and it is going to be the death of Viking there as Alex SS next to go. Luger trying to come in to help out, provide the peel that the captain needs here, but Keanu Co and Solicitude, oh no, Alex SS, can he escape? Unnecessary to recheck there. It's not like the Churn Walker is going to be able to steal those camps away very easily.
Yeah, exactly. But this is almost exactly the same play that Clash used against Queso in the very first game of the preseason Invitational. Now, they pick this Baptiste, the Grumpjaw together, they pair them around and just move them between their topside jungle and the enemy topside jungle. Farm it out, get an experience advantage, and utilize the early game damage of Grumpjaw, and then just go aggressive.
Nomad Vagabond really making Viking's life hard here in the mid lane. Viking really need to keep his farm up against his opponent here. The Cracks currently coming ahead as far as gold is concerned. Top lane, Luga versus Solicitude is quite an interesting matchup. Both these hero melee both want to be fighting each other so close, but when you look at the experience lead that Solicitude already has over Luga, it's pretty huge.
Yeah, and I want to touch on why that is. Now, of course, you're in a Catherine Baptiste lane setup. Like, Catherine's not going to push you in too quickly. Baptiste being able to visit it with Grumpjaw every so often and leave the lane in a fairly neutral position, then drop down into the enemy jungle, steal away the camps, get a little bit of that shared experience. And look, they're level 6, both of them, pre 5 minutes. They can now swing around to mid lane and look to go aggressive with this Grumpjaw ultimate. Like, this is a very dangerous situation for Equinox to be in.
4-man mid right here. And Equinox, can they survive is the real question. Kiana Nakoa diving on in. Vikings dead. Alex SS pulling them all back. Here comes the fearsome shade, blocked up by Alex S. Kieran wants to go onto Kiana Nakoa, but he's going to get swallowed up, and he's going to get spat out. Kiana does go down, but so does the Black Feather. Alex SS spreading the damage through Rising Lotus, but it just isn't enough. A 2-for-1 in the end for Rising Lotus.
Overall goes
wants
the
to come
way
in.
Oh, his second phase.
Nomad should be dead. Stefantu and Alex SS able to amplify that damage through the Churn Walker going over to Equinox. So a 2-for-2 overall.
Yeah, a little bit of a backfire on the back end of that one. Didn't really wait out, or at least didn't assess the fact that the Catherine was roaming down from the top side. You can see, I was going to comment, look at how Catherine can't punish the Baptiste roam, but if that roam lasts long enough that Catherine manages to run all the way down, then yeah, you can be fine. You can pick up those kills on the back end of things, and this is exactly what we were saying. Back and forth matchup is to be expected between these two teams.
That screaming indicates that Ghostwing has arrived onto the Sovereign's Rise, and with Rising Lotus currently leading the way and pacing, it might be them to try and pick up that first objective of the game. Currently, Kiana Nakoa and Solicitude just being a threat, and Stefantu still level 5 in his own jungle, going to be in trouble. There's the stun from the Oblivion. A good block comes out from the Reflex. That is going to be the Grumpjaw ultimate diverted for now, but Stefantu once more knocked very low, and his jungle continuously being stolen away.
Yeah, now you know Alpha's stuck up there on the top side. You go right back to that enemy jungle. Black Feather on the other side of the map getting caught as well. Let's see how Kieran's doing. He's actually trading back very effectively.
Yeah, it is going to be Cracks going very low. Kiana Nakoa chasing Stefantu under his own turret. Stefantu level 6. And has his passive available, but he's completely caught out as far as jungle is concerned. Fight breaks out in the mid lane. That is going to be Cracks going down. Now it's going to be Luga trying to escape whilst Cracks tries to finish off Solicitude. Oh my goodness, it's fights all across the place, but it's going to be Stefantu and Solicitude. Sorry, Keanu and Solicitude picking up kills onto Luga and Stefantu there. Very chaotic game from these two teams so far.
Yeah, now Nomad Vagabond kind of caught out for himself, trying to set up the fight for this Grumpjaw to come in. They've also got the Taka roaming up from the bottom side. Here comes the fight.
Kieran wants to go in, and Kiana Nakoa has to pee. Solar Storm rips through Nomad. Very tanky Tony here is going to be okay with that. Cracks back in lane. Scoreboard says 5-3. First turret of the game will be taken up in the top side by Solicitude, pushing the gold just into the lead for Rising Lotus.
Yeah, that's now the difference maker between these two teams. We did just about see a little bit of that impact that the Churn Walker can have, Alex, with the double pullback. Now, if there's some more damage to follow up, that is basically going to mean 2 kills if that happens in any team fight. But look at how Solicitude and Kiana Nakoa are just taking over the entire top side. This is where I really like the Baptiste. You've given him a platform of experience and gold, the items, to be in a position to just constantly bring the fight. And that's where Rising Lotus are going to have to put a lot of stock for the rest of this game.
Yeah, no, for sure. Rising Lotus now roaming down towards the bot side. Going to be 5 men there. Tensian can start the fight onto Kieran. Here comes Solicitude with that Oblivion. Does get blocked up, though. Maybe they turn heads towards Ghost Wing, or maybe they just 3-man all the way to mid and set up a fight. Either way, it's Rising Lotus who continuously are making the moves.
Yeah, for sure. Like, have you seen how quickly Baptiste does Ghost Wing when you build in weapon power and get a lead? This thing is crazy. Like, it's almost the same as, like, when you put a crawl in front of it. But again, Keanu Nakoa going against aggressive mid lane just kind of tanks the tower. Not quite on the same page as Cracks by the looks of
Yeah,
it.
a little bit unfortunate there, because didn't really need to go aggressive. The Ghost Wing had been taken. They could have set up a 3-man dive in the mid lane, push that turret down. Are looking for Stefantu in the bot side, but he should be able to walk away. All this time, Luga's been left up in the top side, and he's able to push his turret down. Remember, Tensian is going that crystal power Tucker once more, so that Storm Crown really just helps with those objectives. Diving on into the Black Feather here, they're doing damage. Solicitude wants the fight. Under the turret, do they really want to be there? Stefantu driving forward. Fearsome Shade gets blocked up. Here comes the ultimate out of the Alpha. Trade 1-for-1 so far. And Tensian will just peace out. Not going to follow that up anymore. But Stefantu, great catch. Prime Directive. I don't know if this Tucker can run. He's going to attempt it. Is Crystal Power. Great Prime Directive. Catches him out. But Tensian's still running. And Stefantu can't do anything about it. He's going to turn now looking for the fight. Oh, a great dodge on the Prime Directive. Keeping himself alive for now. Fight in the mid lane as well. I think that one's finally over. Let's turn mid. Cracks in trouble. Block comes through from Nomad on that Catherine ultimate. Bubba, big bada boom! Vikings under a turret, not where he wants to be, and Nomad's going to try and follow it up. This is messy, but Rising Lotus pulling all the shots. Nomad trying to make the play. Solicitude finding a kill onto that Alpha in the bot side, and Rising Lotus still continuing as Cracks on the back line with the Oblivion puts that Churnwalker to sleep. Tensian comes in and starts to clean up, but Kieran's here trying to look for executes. Can he find them? That's one for the Black Feather, but he goes down quickly to Tucker. And now Luga trying to run away as Tensian trying to get away from that Churnwalker. Luga should lose his life shortly. Storm Guard shield won't keep him alive for too long. 3 kills go to Rising Lotus, just the one traded for it, and now group up in mid lane.
Oh, the fight went on so long, the Solicitude was right the way back. Now, that Tucker did just end up falling on the back end of the fight, but look, you can just hear the Baptiste swinging away. That whole fight was so precarious between what looked to be maybe Equinox taking it in some certain portions of it, like that Alpha play in the bottom side, finding the blind dash onto Alpha, onto Taka. Like, that should have been a kill, but well outplayed by Temptation. Like, this is just such a knife edge game back and forth between these two teams. It's only just under 2,000 gold between the two of them, and they're gonna fight again.
Oh wow, Vikings in a lot of trouble. He's going very low, but Nomad Vagabond, can he survive is the question. Yeah, he can. Walks away very happy. That's just gonna be that Churnwalker left for dead as Alex SS and Viking lose their life in mid.
Nomad Vagabond just pops all of his items and goes, okay, I'm healing again, I'm all good. Solicitude making a move on the top side onto that tower. Is this going to try and push it down? Luga can't clear the minions fast enough.
Oh my god, Solicitude's a monster. Now he's going to set up onto Luga here. Bashing away, has that Fearsome Shade available. Doesn't look like he's going to get the kill, but he's put the pressure on in the top side, and now what Rising Lotus can do is really just continue to pressure across the map if they want to. Solicitude's continuously pushing down. Does look like Keanu Nakoa and Vagabond hanging around that top side just in case. 12-7, and it's only a 3,000 gold lead, would you believe it? Solicitude currently battling it out. Where's the rest of his team? He's all by himself. Fearsome Shade has to come out. No, he's just going to lose his life. Keanu Nakoa dives on in to a 5v1. And yeah, I think Nomad Vagabond makes the right call. See you later, alligator. That's a big mistake by Rising Lotus.
Yeah, it feels like Equinox looked at the map and said, okay, there's a Taka in the bottom lane, there's a Samuel in the mid lane, and there's 2 of them in the jungle. Let's just go kill them. And that was an easy 5-man pickup. I mean, I know Solicitude feels very strong. He has himself the breaking point as a completed item, so these fights lasting a while benefits him, but it doesn't matter if it's 3 or 2 versus 5. Like, you are going to lose that fight.
Right now, it is Equinox trying to find that Ghost Wing. Nomad Vagabond's providing a little bit of trouble. Tension, he can steal this with a well-timed ultimate, but it's not going to be enough. Dives on in, Ghost Swing goes Equinox way, but the fight is breaking out and Solicitude's running on in. Silences for all, but Vikings left for dead. Stefantu trying to find the kill, gets popped before he can go into his ultimate. It's a double so far for that Baptiste. Make it a triple kill, Solicitude's a monster. Going for more, can he get a quadra? Well, will be stolen, but 4 kills over to Rising Lotus. That Ghost Wing attempt did not go well for Equinox.
Oh, we've seen the Ghost Wing go back and forth between these teams in the close games. It's so dangerous to do it with the death timers so low, but it looked like it was such a good timing out of Equinox. It looked like they should have been able to get it down, but it was a just delayed enough fight out of Rising Lotus that once again, Solicitude comes into the fight. Temptation and Solicitude really just destroying the last portions of these 2 fights, and that's really what's giving Rising Lotus just this massive now lead in the game. It's still 4,000 gold between these 2 teams. It's not the most. It's going to take a Black Claw to separate the 2 of them, but certainly Rising Lotus are in a great position.
Oh, for sure. Solicitude has about 1,500 gold over his laning opponent. And currently, the person with the most gold, Viking, is behind his opponent, Krax. And that's just due to the fact that Rising Lotus have been playing the map. They've been getting those global objectives where possible. Now Equinox are the ones to group mid. There's going to be a turret push coming out of them. That turret should go down.
Oh, it's 5v4 though.
Rising Lotus looking for it. It is. It's 5v4. Make that 5v3. And Equinox, they are in a bit of a trouble. Luga trying to run away. They're going the wrong direction. The good fearsome shade will knock everyone back. Stefantu tries to dive on in. Viking trying to get away. Good. Ultimate comes out of Alpha, but she will pop very quickly, and I think that might just be the end of the Rhine as Viking gets died by Keanu Nakoa. He should go down. So shall Luger in just a second, you would feel. It's going to be an ace coming through from Rising Lotus just as the Black Claw spawns.
Yeah, right in time. Get that regeneration, head over there, push the lanes back out, and make sure you can secure it for yourselves. And Rising Lotus did a pretty good job of splitting up and separating away from a lot of the AoE damage that was gonna come out. We saw Viking try and reposition, try and get himself into a spot where maybe he could just output more damage, try and get a little bit more, but it wasn't to be. Rising Lotus just able to spread out, take the fight for themselves, and now they're gonna spread themselves a little thin here. Sending Grumpjaw down to the bottom lane is a tad risky if Equinox can get to the Black Claw. That was a nice attempt at a snipe there, but it's actually way too quick. Grumpjaw has to back away, concede a little bit of room. Now you allow the mid lane push, potentially push out the top lane as well. You don't want to be playing on 3 lanes at this point. It would be too easy for them to take a fight, but this game is all Rising Lotus.
Yeah, it looks like they're splitting up a 1-4 setup with a Solicitude pushing down that top side. Here's the Black Claw burning down the turret, and Equinox are grouping up. It's going to be a 5v5 fight starting up. Fearsome Shade knocking 2 to the side, and Rising Lotus quick disengage to make sure they're not in too much of a trouble. Alex SS trying to escape, whilst Nomad Vagabond front lines, but he will fall for it. Captains are now both down, a 1-for-1 trade. That turret will fall, exposing that armory, and oh dear, Stefantu's gone down without using his ultimate. Solicitude diving on in. That's going to be a double kill now for Krax on that Samuel. Armory should fall very shortly as Keanu Nakoa potentially in a bit of a bind. Trying to find the damage, can't quite do it. His team's just taking down the Vein Crystal, and Equinox can't really do anything about it. It's gonna be a kill going to Solicitude as Viking, last man standing, trying to do his best, but he can't. And the Vein Crystal will fall to Black Claw's punches. Rising Lotus are going to find their first win of the European VPL.
A good win out of Rising Lotus as well. While it was a close game for the majority, a well-timed fight right as Black Claw is spawning, using the advantages they'd built up with this Baptiste. We talked about the Baptiste Grumpjaw combination in the early game and how you can accelerate his game through. Well, there exactly is that carry Baptiste. You saw it go off. Taka was doing pretty good as well. Just too much damage at the end.